Hey guys, Montel here, and guess what? I don't know if you know this, but close to 70% of this country lives in a county where there is legal cannabis. That means there's about 15,000 dispensaries across America. And it's kind of crazy because with that much cannabis being sold, and recently, cannabis just eclipsed alcohol in sales in the United States. With all that revenue coming in, you would think that this government could figure out how to get all of the regulations straight, and they still haven't done so. I happen to be here at Rooted In on Newbury Street in Boston at a dispensary that we sat down today and had a really good discussion about the current affairs of cannabis, what's going on tomorrow, what's going to go on in the future. So make sure you tune in to Let's Be Blunt with Montel. Hey guys, Montel here, and welcome to this edition of Let's Be Blunt with Montel, where we explore the world of cannabis and its many dimensions. I'm your host, Montel Williams, and today we are excited and really absolutely thrilled to have an enlightening episode for you. We're talking about racial equity in the cannabis industry, focusing on the incredible dispensary that's in Boston called Rooted In. Joining us today are Mr. Brian Keith, who's a co-founder and COO of Rooted In, and Holly Alberti, who's a vice president of sales and business development. Thank you both for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, for sure. Look, why don't you take us on a little journey? Maybe we'll start ladies first. You're the founder, but we're ladies first.
Okay.
So tell me a little journey. Give me your history. Where did you come from? Where were you born? Where were you raised? What did you do for college?
I'm Massachusetts born and raised. I went to Quincy and Curry College, so local here. I grew up on primarily the South Shore and actually got into the industry really early on. In 2010, started to get interested. I've been a part of the team here at Rooted In for a little bit over the last year. I really align with what Rooted In brings to the table, and was really excited to be able to be a part of that. So it's been a great journey.
There you go, for sure. Brian, why don't you give me some background on where you're from and what brought you to co-founding Rooted In?
Yeah, no, Boston born. I've been here my entire life. My parents are not. They came from Barbados and Jamaica. They immigrated here, first generation American. Brought me to the cannabis space was in 2019. We recognized that folks who were investing, folks who were owning in the cannabis space in an industry that was very hard on communities of color, they didn't look like us. It wasn't representative of communities of color. So, my partners and I, my business partner, my wife, as well as another married couple, we decided to come together and form a business that wasn't just about the four of us, but to find a way to bring folks who would not necessarily get an opportunity to be in this industry, giving them the opportunity to invest in this industry. And to date, we have about 50 investors. 98% of them are people of color, and they're mostly from the Boston area.
And, you didn't clearly jump in. This was not your first provocation or first job in life. So back up for a second. Where'd you go to college? What's your degree in? How come you decided to pick this over another industry? Or had you worked anywhere else before you started here?
No, this was my first job. I'm just kidding. No, this was not my first job. No, I started in private aviation. Aviation was my passion. I went to a school in Daytona Beach, Florida called Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. My goal was to be a pilot. Shortly after I started, I decided, you know what, I don't want to fly. I accumulated about 40 hours, but I decided I wanted to be on the ground. So I switched my major to aviation business administration. And out of college, I started with a private jet company called Ascension Jet.
Okay.
Worked there for about 14, 15 years. Vice president of sales and finally director of revenue management. And then in 2019, the four of us, again, we started talking about this industry and the opportunities, again, not just to affect ourselves and our families, but to have a positive impact on multiple families of color in the Boston area. And then we brought that idea and that concept to cannabis. And we launched this location in 2022.
Wow, Holly, you skipped over a lot of your background, but you said you started in the industry back in 2009, did you say?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so did you start back there learning how to be a grower? What's the start in the business?
Just as a voice, I really found it interesting when I peeled back the onion and learned a little bit more how we've been prohibited by this plant, the history of the plant, where the plant was prior in 1890s in our pharmacopoeia. I really saw this as medicine, and I had interacted with lots of folks that that found that as well, and saw with my own two eyes, many people that, really had a positive effect with cannabis or had some type of, interaction that brought them a level of relief. And for myself, I was very big in the local community, and I found that I could provide a voice. I worked at the Chamber of Commerce, actually, and I had a lot of folks asking me questions about, cannabis early on. And I, again, want to just allow somebody to have the opportunity for safe access. And at the time, there was nothing here in Massachusetts. So you had to kind of find other locations to go to. I went to Oaksterdam University in California and went through a program there to learn some more hands-on education as well.
Okay. All right. Good. I mean, it's very interesting because, you talk about this is, again, being rooted in the original founding reasons for social equity, but now you have this program in Massachusetts that's had a fledgling, floundering way of rolling out equity. So, I mean, what's that battle been like for you?
It's not been easy. And, what I always like to start when we talk about the state, when we talk about the city, it's definitely not for lack of trying. The state, the city, they were very intentional. But, as we all know, best intentions don't always produce the best outcomes.
Sure.
And I think that, today with equity as a focus, there's probably 2, 3, 4% of the businesses that are open today. That's what represents equity in Massachusetts. So we still, even with the best of intentions, we still have not enough representation of businesses that look like me, of businesses owned by women and things of that nature.
Yeah, it's across the board because I was going to say businesses look like yourself, but also women in this business here in this state. And I know it's been a tough road for a lot of the women who are kind of competing. And then, this is really kind of like the quagmire that's happening in a lot of states. They jump to the table, pass legislation and pass administrative rules that basically really don't support an industry that'll allow this industry to grow. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now how long have you been open?
We opened in December of 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how are you doing?
We're doing well.
Yes.
Yeah. And, we are fortunate. As you saw, we're here on Newberry Street.
Location.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, we have the foot traffic. That's what a lot of people are looking for. And sometimes that's, rewind 4 or 5 years ago, if you opened up, it was a different story because there were just less businesses. Fast forward, 3, 4 years, we don't have one on every block, thanks to legislation, but there's enough now that there's a lot more competition. People have options. And so, no one's doing $14, $15 million a year like they were doing a few years ago.
Yeah. And I think that's really the what's going on around the country. We're starting to find that, so many states trying to get it right, keep opening up more and more licenses because they gave the first round out to their cronies and friends.
Right.
So then they get sued into a position after the launch, another 300 or 400. And then the next thing you know, now you've got like Starbucks. You got a Starbucks at every corner.
That's right. It's Dunkin's in Massachusetts.
There's Dunkin's in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, it's kind of crazy. So, I mean, let's back up a little bit. What was it like just starting out here? You are the only one nearby? Is it the one within 3 blocks of you, 4 blocks of you?
We've got some competition in the area. We've got on Boylston Street, there's a location. In Fenway, we're pretty close to Fenway. There's a location there. So I would say it's definitely, with the 3 of us, it's definitely healthy competition. I don't know that, knock on wood, I don't know that the 3 of us are, taking away from each other. I think it's a very good spread currently. But we're kind of I would say we're maxed out in this area.
When you say healthy competition, this is something I have been talking about. I've been in this business, cannabis business now for 24 years. Long before it was vogue, long before everybody started jumping on the bandwagon. I literally testified up here that multiple times in Massachusetts to help you get your first bills passed.
Thank you.
And what's happened, quite welcome, but what's happened to me, and this is just my opinion, as I bounce around in different states and I take a look at every state's a little different, but the mentality among our industry is the same, no matter what state you're in. And it is cutthroat, bring your competition to its knees. When is this industry going to understand, especially here in Massachusetts, because you've got so many different initiatives that are floundering from, open consumption in different places, or what do they call it?
Social consumption.
Social consumption.
Right.
Opening up various places that you can literally get together, even if it's a matter of purchasing and renting out a facility to hold an event. One block lets you do it, another block doesn't let you do it.
Right.
And, rather than seeing founders in this industry understand that you ain't getting anywhere until you all get together.
Mm-hmm.
The longer you fight, the harder this business is going to be.
Yeah.
Why can't we seem to get? So I've probably visited 60 dispensaries in the state over the course of the last couple of years, and in every one of them, I hear the complaints, but then I say, when is there going to be an association? Mm-hmm. When is Mass going to say, let's put together the Cannabis Dispensary Owners Association? So we speak with one voice. Recognize that the rising tide will lift all boats.
I would say it's coming.
Is it coming?
I would say that, I'm in a group, and there are other groups, and I would say that, the natural progression of things is that eventually we will be one group. There are definitely some items that keep us apart today, but you can see it's natural. There will be a voice for cannabis in the state.
Think it's going to get there?
It has to. I
would think for survival, it better.
That's what I'm saying. If it doesn't, then a lot of people aren't going to make it. The people who have foot traffic, that's just naturally occurring. But the people who are fighting to, get that customer in the door, they're the ones who are probably not going to make it if we don't work together.
I don't even think that this has really gotten further than, like the Wright brothers pushing that wooden plane down the hill here in Mass.
Yeah.
You have so much room for growth.
Yeah.
A lot of that has to do with the fact that though you do have foot traffic, I'm still waiting, and I've been hearing this for 3 years here. I'm still waiting for this or this, and please don't think I'm just bashing you guys at Mass, because I'll do the same conversation in Illinois, same conversation in Florida, same conversation in Georgia. It's like, when is this industry going to wake up and recognize that education is the most important thing you can do? Stop messing around with figuring out how many different extraction machines that you can find and buy. How many? No, educate the consumer. Right. What does Big Pharma do?
Right.
All day long, 24 hours a day. Now, I know you can't do it because you're not allowed to do it on television that way, but you are allowed to do things.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I just don't understand why. I've had conversations with some dispensary owners who are saying, well, we're not starting to notice foot traffic is going down. Well, what are you doing to get out and educate the community about you having alternative medical and I'm going to say I'm different than most people. I think anybody who gravitates to cannabis is gravitating to it for a medical reason. Forget this whole thing about recreational, this whole thing about adult use. An adult that picks cannabis over a shot of whiskey is doing it for a specific medical reason of their own. Yeah. Whether it be to relax when they come home, feel better, sleep better, name all those things that people say that walk in here and talk to your bartenders. It's a medical reason.
I have an opinion on that. I think it's out of fair. I think that the legislatures and not the legislature, but the Enforcement Commission has written such regulations that people don't understand them, and they don't want to run afoul of those regulations. They don't want to get the email that says you have a deficiency. And so they stay within a very tight and narrow lane of they can't say anything to me if I just do this. And because of that, the educational piece that could be construed as marketing. Sure. They look at that and say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stay in my lane, open the doors, and hope people show up. And I think it's out of fair.
That's kind of complacent, and I get you. I do understand. However, every single one of the bills that's been passed across this country allow you to do non-branded education.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it seems as if those people who are in business here can't understand. I don't have to say the name of my product to get people to understand that, how about this? You go to the store and look for aspirin. Does everybody go in and say, give me Bayer?
No.
Right.
No. I want aspirin. Yeah. Aspirin. There are now 50 different, and let's remember, aspirin wasn't a scheduled drug until about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Been around for 100 years.
Right.
Been in everybody's medicine cabinet, could kill your child if they overdose on it in an afternoon.
Right.
It's not on the schedule. It's just a drug it's one of the most powerful drugs on the planet. Never scheduled. And yet again, it's the first line of defense for anybody, for any illness.
Yeah.
Some people who take it don't even realize that they shouldn't be taking it.
Right.
But it's first line of defense. Cannabis should be the same thing. It was for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And just because of a marketing effort that literally turned us away from cannabis, it's now time to do that marketing effort to turn us back towards it. So I only say, I get what you're saying, because I know in every state, you can put up a billboard, but you can't put up this. And you can put up a billboard, it's got the name of the facility, but you can't put up really cannabis. You have to say, well, it's just so weird, okay? However, there is nothing that stops 10 dispensaries from getting together, renting out the ballroom at the Sheraton, and putting up tea and coffee, some crumpets, and inviting everybody in the public to come out and learn.
Right.
If you're kind of curious, come and learn. We have information for you. I'm not selling it. I'm not going to give you any discounts. Come and learn.
Right.
And you pump that as hard as you pump, and then throw a band in there, a local band that people like, and then people will show up because they're interested. You got an entire generation right now that's probably, used to be the largest demographic in America. Now the demographic is starting to dwindle because of, they're dying off. But baby boomers are probably your best customers, right?
Absolutely.
They're the ones who spend $200, $300 rather than $5.
They come in. And
they come in.
And you saw upstairs, we make it very comfortable, and
sure,
it looks like a place that they'll feel comfortable in.
Yeah, let's go back to what is the basic root of Rooted In.
When we came together, we wanted to make sure that wherever we put our first dispensary, we didn't know. We wanted it to be in Roxbury. That's where we're from. That's the heart of the Black community in Boston. We wanted to make sure whether we're in Roxbury or Hyde Park or anywhere in the state or country, that we understood that community and that we were rooted in that community. The Back Bay is not the heart of the Black community in Boston, not even close. Okay. But even here, the neighborhood loves us, and not because we sell weed. They love us because we're good neighbors. And so, that's part of the heart of Rooted In, is that wherever we go, we want to make sure that we, work with the community to understand their concerns, their needs, and then, open up a dispensary that is reflective of our values as well as the communities.
And Holly, you have to pay attention to this as kind of like the mantra, turn it into actual sales. Give me some numbers. Tell me what's
great
going on
here.
I think, to piggyback off of the Rooted In community, our goal is obviously to bring awareness that Rooted In is here and what we're doing. And to make sure that people know that we are slightly different, right? There's a differentiation. We're a small operation. We're family operated and family owned. And we want to be able to bring a level of not only comfort, meeting people where they are, right? Because we have consumers who are maybe tourists. They've never been into a dispensary before. This could be their first visit. They're not as educated as we are around the table.
Yeah, it's very funny. I was in a dispensary yesterday here in the Mass area and was shocked at, I probably interacted with, 50 people? More than that, 100 people. And probably, easily 65% of them were tourists.
Yeah.
They were from New York, Florida, all over the place. Some of them drove up, groups of 5, 6 women drove up having a little vacation themselves and stopped in. And I thought, well, that's really interesting too. So I guess that's what happens here quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
I would say even at this location, it's even more international.
Sure, because Newbury Street.
Yeah, exactly. Newbury Street is the destination that a lot of international folks hear about before they even arrived in Boston.
I just thought of something very funny. I bought one of my first, in fact, I still have it. I have it on right now. One of my first diamond earrings I bought on the street.
Nice.
Here, Newbury Street.
I believe it.
Yeah, it was very funny. Yeah. I just got my ear pierced like about 5 days before, and I was like, you know what? I was up here visiting some friends. And it was really interesting because I used to have some property up on Plum Island. And, back before legislative passage, you do know that this is an area that was very well heeled in the cannabis and the black market area, which is still is right now, which is shocking because, as well as you are doing as far as legal cannabis goes, the black market up here is thriving throughout this whole area.
Very
You know,
true.
I mean, people don't know, you know, to people who are tuning in right now, you know, I don't know if a lot of you guys listening understand that this year we just passed cannabis sales was greater than all alcohol sales in the United States of
I heard
America.
about that. It's amazing.
Cannabis sales.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But back in 2021, we broke 25 billion in legal cannabis sales, which is more than milk.
Wow.
More money spent on
Amazing.
cannabis legally than milk,
I didn't know about that.
than all energy drinks put together.
That's
Okay. And that was the legal market. We sold 50 billion in illegal black and gray markets across the country.
Oh.
Right now, that number is somewhere around, I think it's $65 billion of
Wow.
black or gray money. $31 billion in legal money this last year. Though it seems as if sales are going down, they're really not going down. It's just, I think it's spreading out so much.
Right.
agreed.
But you know, the fact that we were having a conversation last night, we were at the dinner, and we happened to be with a dispensary owner, and we were talking about it. He was asking me questions about what do you think, you know, what's going to happen when, you know, the DEA finally reschedules. Now they claim they're going to do it.
Mm.
And, you know, this is not something that takes 500 days. You know, it's just as silly as this current administration that's running for office lying and saying that they were going to do something in the first 100 days of office, and they still haven't done a damn thing yet.
Yeah.
However, now we're at a point where if the DEA does go ahead and do what they are administratively responsible for, and that's changing the schedule, I want to know what you guys think about this, because I'll give you my opinion as we talk through this, but I have said this for 22 years. Be careful what you wish for when it comes to rescheduling. Don't be as ignorant as you think you are. All those people are listening out there right now. Oh man, it's going to be great. It's going to take away, what is it? The
280.
280E. It's going to do X, Y. Stop the stupid. It also puts it under the purview of who?
Right.
FDA, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And when it goes under the purview of the FDA, what does it say about medication under the FDA? Has to be what? Prescribable, not recommendable.
Right.
Prescribable. So there's been an entire industry that's been born around doctors writing recommendations so they can cop their 10, 20 bucks to make you come in and say, you know, I need it. And you write your little letter, right? So that could go away. And it could go away with just one solid stroke of the pen. Depending on who we get in 6-7 months, you know, and both of them right now are not very, very friendly to this industry. Those who believe the lies that have come out of the current administration's mouths, the one that was in here before, lied also, because they recognize if I could talk shit, excuse my mouth, right now, I might get a couple of extra votes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as soon as I get those votes, I'm going to come right in the office and say, guess what? You've been infringing upon a patent that the United States government's had now for the last 22 years.
Yep.
And we decide to exercise that patent that we've extended 5 times. Wow. What would happen if all of a sudden tomorrow you got this letter that said, cease and desist selling any product that has any CBD in it? What would happen to you, sir?
I don't think we'd make it. Yeah, I mean, that's the reality of it.
And then if they said cease and desist unless you can only sell to people who have a prescription written by a state authorized doctor.
I mean, at that point, the state of Massachusetts would have to step in, just like they stepped in and legalized the product. They'd have to step in and do something if that were to take place.
They would have to
Yeah.
literally step in and grandfather all dispensaries
Yeah.
and qualify you as a pharmacy.
Right.
Exactly.
But then just please, because, you know, even if the state said, yes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make you a pharmacy. I'd like to see what they do when the DEA walks in here and steps into the mayor's office and says, homeboy, you're going to jail tomorrow night for allowing this to continue.
Well, see, and I think everything that you say is accurate, but at the same time, the federal government could have done this for the past 30 years in California. You know what I mean? And they haven't done it because I think enough people recognize that this isn't this is not crack. You know what I mean?
Remember now, if you go back to 1990, 99, 2000. The Fed did step into California. They stepped in and burned a lot of fields. They stepped in and arrested a lot of people who were laying in their beds on gurneys, dragging them out, putting them in jail. I mean, you know, again, we're living at a time where I hate to be that doomsday guy, but I just don't trust this government. And I definitely don't trust the one that's in office now. I don't trust the one that could possibly be in office. Because, I mean, you know, very easily, based on some cronies that are talking to them, you know, they turn this thing around. So, but okay, let's say I'm completely wrong. The lifting the 280E would significantly help your business, would it not?
Helps the bottom line, definitely.
Right.
You know,
And for those that don't understand it, explain to them what the problem is.
we can't take deductions like
On anything.
Like a traditional business does.
On anything.
Correct.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's tough.
You could if you're 2 doors down, you got a liquor store, you can write off everything in there.
Yep.
From the boxes that you throw out in the back to the people that are throwing the boxes out the back,
Right.
to the people who are giving the boxes to the people who throw it out the back.
100%.
You can write all that off.
Yeah.
Business expense.
And that
New signage, business expense.
Yeah.
New product, business expense.
right.
New brand, business expense.
100%. Yeah.
Cannabis, new
No.
brand.
Nothing.
Can't write it off.
No.
People,
Nope.
can't write it off.
Nope.
Supply, can't write it off.
Nope.
It's crazy, man.
So what that does is it essentially looks as if we are doing extremely well, but it's not taking into account the fact that we have a lot of expenses. Where in a normal business, when you're doing well, but you have a lot of expenses, you can write those off, and that reduces your tax liability. With us, our tax liability is our
Tax
tax
it
liability.
all.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Give me my money.
right.
You better. I don't care who you're helping. Give me some money. Right?
Yeah.
Crazy. Anything else you think it might do though? If they go ahead and let's say that you paint the prettiest picture you can paint for me.
I mean, the prettiest picture of 280E going away is the first, the taxes, and then, you know, many believe that it will open up a lot of doors for capital. Right now, capital is not easy to come by. A lot of businesses live paycheck to paycheck or, you know, day to day as far as, you know, what they bring in, and that's what they use to pay for everything. Most businesses have the ability to raise capital, whether it's in private or public markets, and then, you know, deploy that capital in order to keep their business afloat, keep it going, and invest in order to grow the business. It's not easy for us to do that. You know, there are some friendly banks, but a lot of times they'll let you bank there, but the friendly banks are only
As friendly as yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Because all of a sudden they just change their mind. Nope, we ain't taking no more cannabis stuff. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of them are getting to that point right now. So it's not an easy market if you're getting into it today. It was a little bit easier 5-6 years ago because it was the new thing, and people recognized that the less businesses there were, people were just going to go to that one business and people were going to make 14, 15 million. Today, because things are so much more spread out, there's more dispensaries out there. People recognize that it's just not as lucrative as it once was.
Sure. And I guess because when you take a look at some people who got into the growing part of this, they just completely saturated the market with whether it would be good product or not.
And you said it at the beginning. We need some type of voice that tells people stop growing.
Right.
You know, we're growing too much. There's too much in the market. All that does is drive the price down. Great for the consumer, and we love our consumers. But at the end of the day, everybody has bills to pay. We have great staff that we have to pay for. We have rent that we have to pay for. And if you're selling $10 eights, you can't pay for
Talk
that.
to me about how battling with these conglomerates, the big MSOs that are here. How do you stay competitive against them?
It's a good question. We don't give up all of our secrets, but what I will say is that, you know, again, going back to what you said at the beginning, people have to work together, and the only way for us to survive is to work together. And what we've found is, you know, a good balance of working with the larger companies, but also focusing, which is one of our pillars, is to highlight and promote the smaller companies who are out there. So on our shelves, we have a good balance of everyone. And we're in a position where, you know, a lot of them aren't around us. You know, there's 3 of us in this area. One of them is a local company just like us. One of them is a bigger company. But again, we are competitors, but we're friendly competitors, and we're not trying to ruin the market because at the end of the day, that doesn't help anyone.
Right. Give me an idea, what you think, Holly, about, say, the next couple of years. I mean, you've been in this business now long enough to see the trends of the business since 2009. So that's now almost 14, 15 years.
Crazy.
Right? So, look ahead another 5 years. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I would like to be more positive, and I agree with a lot of some of the things we just talked about. And I'm nervous to see what's going to happen with rescheduling, because I think that what we've seen over the past in multiple states is kind of the rush in, where the first couple of years are pretty lucrative, things are going well, and then all of a sudden we kind of teeter out in this saturation level. And I think that we can even look to some of the other countries that have been doing this, Canada, for example, and how, they run their program completely different than what we see on the state side. But, going back to the bigger reality is that people are using cannabis. They want access to cannabis. And we can't deny that at this point. My hopes are that we start to see, less on the regulation standpoint, going back to the 1800s when this product was available and just a plant. I think that, we'll continue to see more from an education standpoint. Massachusetts is still behind when you look at what products are available.
Sure.
Tincture is a sleeper. People don't understand the product maybe.
Right.
But I think that that's like a category that, again, with some more insight, we'll see some growth there.
Yeah, beverages are starting to take off a little bit.
Yes.
Too. I think that's a really good delivery system for those who are kind of curious and afraid.
Yeah.
It seems to be a little easier
Yeah.
as a edible, across the country, depending on what state you're in.
And being on Newberry
gummies
Street.
are driving people crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Different places. I'm sorry.
And being on Newberry Street, we're a very walkable street. People come in here and will just get one drink or ice cream. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Especially in the summer. So it's a very diverse market. We are definitely behind, but it is starting to diversify as far as the options people have.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more products come in, but from like a concentrate standpoint or some of the other categories, I think that the consumers just maybe aren't there yet, on their journey.
Absolutely. Why don't you throw out some info right now, since people around the country are listening? Because again, I think with people from around the world who are listening, but if you happen to be visiting the Mass area, Boston area, where would they go? How can they find out about you? Give out some stats.
Oh, sure. So we're right on Newbury Street. We're closer towards the Mass Ave side. We're right across the way from Johnny Cupcakes and next to Champion and Sansi. So it's a really amazing place to be able to kind of start your day, pick up whatever you need, and then continue on your journey. Go do some shopping. They even got Central Perk down the street, so you can pretend that you're part of the Friends experience as well, right? And then there's all the history that you can continue to go on and check out the Common. If you're going over to the Red Sox game, we've got some secret parking spots over here that people tend to gravitate to, and then head over to the park and catch a game. It's a great opportunity to really experience Boston. But
website for Rooted In?
Oh yeah, Rooted in Roxbury. As again, we kind of mentioned that we're rootedinroxbury.com. We are on Instagram as well as Rooted in Roxbury. Facebook. We've even still got Twitter or X, whatever you call it.
Oh, X, right. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about now. Is anything coming down the pike in Massachusetts that people around the country need to know about?
For us,
well,
absolutely.
I mean, for the industry. I mean, I know, again, I've been here for years now, and they've been talking about consumption lounges and blah-da-da-da-da.
We're going to keep talking about that.
I heard something else.
Talk.
Yeah, a lot of talk. But, I mean, again, that's where I'm telling you, if there was one place that I would literally commit to focusing in on, it would be in Mass, to say, let me help you guys form whatever it is you need to form association-wise to get this thing moving. Because I think, again, it's the old saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. So if you get more of you walking into the city hall at the same time, people are going to start to listen. Especially, I've argued that, in this year, we needed it more than ever. Unfortunately, it's too late to try to do it now. But there should have been a national coalition in Washington, D.C. talking about, look, this election is going to come down to less than probably 2%. And guess what? There's well over 70% of this country that's consuming cannabis.
That's right.
So you know what? You want to get us to come behind your butt?
Yeah.
What you gonna do?
Right.
I mean, honestly,
Right.
Everybody else does it. Big Pharma does it. Cigarettes do it. Everybody else does it. Why don't we do it?
Yeah. Well, I think that one of the big things is social consumption. There's no timeline on it. Okay. What I can say is big things for us that we're working on is we are going to be launching delivery from this location. I think delivery has struggled in Massachusetts because of again, the lack of marketing, the lack of the ability for folks to speak about it, let them know you're there. If you don't have a brick and mortar like we do, people don't know that they can get delivery.
But they also, the whole idea of delivery in cannabis is something that you're going to have to kind of tweak the consumer about a little bit more than just saying, I've got delivery available. What you got to do is get some of those customers up there to understand that you're going to put them in turnaround.
Yeah.
So when they come in the door, you say, look, you know what? I tell you what, your average sale in the last 4 months has been XYZ. Here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm giving you out a nice secret for you guys. I'm going to give you 10% off.
Let's turn the mic off first.
I know that. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I'll tell you off the side what you got to do. And then you tell them that, and they go, dang, you mean tell me you hit my order every single, on Thursday? I'm with you.
Yeah.
Right.
That starts the ball moving.
Right.
Then all of a sudden when, Fred says, oh yeah, I don't even have to go down to Rudy, then they just come by every Thursday.
Right.
What did you say? Then there's Annie. Then there's Bob. Then there's Phil. So,
That's creative. We got some other creative things that we're going to throw into delivery to make it more enticing that I won't be talking about here today.
Absolutely.
But that's one. The other thing is actually the room that we're in. This is our VIP experience. So we're actually going to be doing private transactions down here in this room. So instead of coming in through the front, you can actually come in through our back entrance with parking. And then you can have your purchasing experience down here. We've got the sound system, we've got the TV. So you'll be able to have a very unique experience, cannabis buying experience.
Weird one. Can you consume cannabis anywhere as long as you know we're near a high school or something like that?
Unfortunately, Massachusetts does not allow cannabis consumption openly. Like New York, it's at
Anywhere outside.
Anywhere
You can't do it
outside.
outside.
Correct, yeah.
That's not the same here.
Let me ask you a weird one, because I'm going to throw out another little idea, because I think this one I'm throwing out universally to everybody in Mass, because I think if you did this, you could help move the ball and pendulum in our way. You guys are so close to so many nice restaurants down here.
Yeah.
I would literally walk down and chum up with whoever would be willing to talk to me about, look, you got that little spot out back on your own private property. So maybe, once a month we have a Rooted In Appreciation Day. So anybody can come by our store and we'll give you whatever we're going to purchase and you do. And that also includes a 15% discount to go eat at so-and-so's place.
Yeah.
So
actually, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. And yeah, can you do it? It's one of those great things. As a private business, you can have people consuming, but it's great.
But I'm even saying, as a private business, I would say that I'm not going to let you walk inside and sit down at a restaurant. Other people may not want you doing that.
Right.
However, if you show up at the back door, we've now put out a little patio on our private property. Go ahead and do your thing there. And then you can come on in and eat. And wow, Rooted In gave me a 15% discount that day. So now that restaurant is going to be happy that you're sending them customers. And they're going to talk about, you know what Rooted In did for me the other day? Man, bottom line, about another 50% price.
I'll say we have a great relationships with all of the restaurants and businesses on Newberry Street in Boylston. We were very intentional before we even opened to start the engagement with all the businesses in the area.
Cool.
So yeah, we haven't done that. I think that's actually a good, next level.
Let me tell you,
I like
them, let them get happy with you.
Yeah.
You are now affecting their bottom line. All of you up here in Massachusetts, you're affecting the stores near you bottom
100%.
line. They're going to love you because, we know.
Yeah.
Hey, we get hungry, so we may as well take advantage, right? Absolutely.
We actually have a program that we call Lit Night Bites, where we actually invite local restaurants onto our sales floor, and we had a capo in South Boston. They came by last fall, and they had an amazing setup with little sliders. And
They have like 5-course meal that we paired each of them with a different element that we had at our store as well.
Oh, that's great.
So nothing infused, because
Right, of
that
course
wouldn't be
not.
by the
Sure.
rules.
Right.
But it was great to have, their customer base came out from Southie, and they came out to Newberry Street and came onto our floor, had some eats, and also shopped. So no, we've done it on our floor, but I actually like the idea of doing it off our floor and at their locations as well.
Yeah, they're going to come in here to get whatever it is they're going to use over there.
Yeah.
And, just to start their meal off the right way.
Love that.
Yeah, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I will say that this, the commission here frowns upon any discounting or specials or
Okay.
deals as well. So
Deals on your product.
On our
However, if you can
product.
give a 15% deal on somebody else's food,
and exactly, and
Binga
that
binga.
cross collaboration for sure.
Correct.
I love it. Yes, something we definitely focus on here.
sure. See, that would be great.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think.
And then what you would add, sir?
Well, I mean, like I said, we're excited about the next steps for us as we continue to grow this location with the delivery, with our VIP room, and then, knock on wood, I won't do it, but knock on wood, 2025, we're hoping to launch our second location in Roxbury.
Oh, that's great.
Because we don't want to stop at this location. We're allowed to have 3
Oh, sure.
recreational.
Wow,
So
that's good.
we hope to start breaking ground on Roxbury next year.
And again, you are ensuring that your employment opportunities are as inclusive as they possibly can be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're 57% women at this store. Our management staff is like over 60% women. Our people of color, we're about, I would say 85%
Wow.
people of color. And that was one of our pillars, was to make sure that we were hiring folks from the community.
Sure.
The community is most impacted by the war on drugs, and giving them opportunities to work here on Newberry Street.
You also give them investment opportunities in your company too, do you not?
Yep, absolutely.
Talk a little about that.
So we brought on, when we first started the company, we brought on about 50 investors, 98% of them people of color. We raised $850,000 in the Black and brown community.
Wow.
And, the story that told us when we were putting it together is that, we're Black and brown people are usually discounted, and they're not given opportunities to sit at the table unless a quota needs to be filled. And what we did was we flipped that on its head, and we said, you know what, we're going to talk to our community first. And we were able to find $850,000 in our
great.
community.
Wow.
And, it's a beautiful thing. The employees, once we get to that point, we're still only 16, 17 months old as far as when we open. The employees are able to get a profit share.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing for the employees, and we're doing that same profit share model with our investors as well.
Well, there we go. Rooted in downtown Boston, Newberry Street. You're up here visiting. You may as well come on by. And I got to tell you, both of you guys, Brian, Holly, thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And make sure you keep listening to Let's Be Blunt with Montel. Thanks for joining me on Let's Be Blunt with Montel. Please make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell to be notified when new episodes post each week. We'd love to hear your feedback also, so please send us your comments.